Hello everyone, and welcome back to a special review episode. With the Emmy Award just around the corner, I wanted to spotlight one of this year's standout Emmy-nominated series, Shōgun. This series masterfully blends historical accuracy within the fictional worlds of James Clavell's novels, bringing to life a unique crossover between Japanese and American television. Shōgun weaves a rich tapestry of authenticity, captivating audience not just in Japan, but around the world. Before we dive in, make sure that you're subscribed and are up to date with the latest content on this channel. And without further ado, let's explore Shōgun. Chapter 1: The Power of Subtitles. When creating a series set in a foreign land where culture and language are different, the main way the narrative can immerse the audience is by ensuring that the language fits the setting. Even without understanding the language, subtitles makes the narrative an eye-opening experience, allowing viewers to immerse themselves in a culture and environment that may feel entirely foreign. Although an excellent work of television, series like Chernobyl had one thing that was missing that Shōgun did not. Although Chernobyl takes place in Ukraine, the entirety of its narrative was told in English. While watching the events of the Chernobyl meltdown unfold, this choice made me feel less immersed, unlike the experience with Shōgun. The use of feudal Japanese, which is rarely spoken in modern-day Japan, becomes a key element in providing the extra layer of authenticity to a narrative that prioritizes realism over an easy cop-out. The power of these subtitles becomes essential, as Japanese and English have a very different grammatical structure. With the series speaking in its natural tongue, the realism portrayed by many of the Japanese actors and actresses in the production is easy to see, especially in every scene with Fuji, one of the standout characters from the series. Fuji, who serves as Blackthorn's consort, exemplifies this through her use of feudal Japanese and expressive facial cues, effectively conveying her emotional journey. And hopefully this approach of subtitles and speaking in the native tongue will set a new industry standard, making narratives set in non-English speaking countries more immersive for the viewers. Chapter 2: An authentic portrayal of a Japanese period piece. A narrative like Shōgun, which is heavily based on the true story of Lord Tokugawa Ieyasu, needs to be told just right. From the costumes, posture, setting, and especially manners and customs, every detail must contribute to creating something authentic, to the point that no one can distinguish between what is being displayed and what historical records leaves behind. The story of Tokugawa Ieyasu may be rare knowledge in most places of the world. Still, in Japan, his story is always remembered, even to this day. To do justice to such a historical event, the authenticity had to be real. It couldn't be faked. This is exactly what the cast and crew of the series accomplished, authentically telling a story that draws from historical records but also honors what James Clavell had written in his books. The series successfully brought out the story of feudal Japan the way that Clavell had always depicted, while also being accurate and authentic towards Japanese culture so as not to offend or squander this magnificent opportunity for cultural representation. The series took deep consideration of both elements, and the final product can only be described as a masterpiece full of authenticity. By bringing out consultants in all fields related to the feudal period, whether it was mannerism, clothes, posture, or language, and not to mention historians to ensure the story is historically accurate, the series achieved a level of authenticity that even casual viewers will not be able to wave off. And these authentic details becomes a shining beacon of light, drawing the audience in and allowing them to enjoy the narrative in a way that might not have been possible if there were any flaws in authentically telling the story of feudal Japan. Chapter 3: Shining a light into the cultural representation. A Japanese period piece outside of Japan is rarely displayed on screen. Although there are occasional attempts, the narrative that makes it on screen is often a diluted version of what Japanese period piece should be. Shōgun, although based on a novel, takes the elements it can control seriously, with both the cast and crew committed to telling not just an adaptation of a novel, but an authentic and mostly historical accurate story. This dedication not only makes the series entertaining, but also educational for the viewers encountering feudal Japan for the first time on screen. The cultural representation brought to the screen in Shōgun is one for the ages. Official podcasts and interviews behind the scene reveals just how much everyone on set was willing to sacrifice to ensure the show was grounded in authenticity. Feudal Japan is an intriguing period in world history that many people outside of Japan may have yet to study or even be curious about. Most people probably only know that during feudal Japan, there were only samurais with sharp katanas and ninjas who ruled the land. However, this is an oversimplification of feudal Japan's history. Shōgun becomes an educational tool for teaching and reshaping the knowledge one might have about feudal Japan. This cultural representation of a time that not many people have studied deeply is one of the many reasons why the series was successful. Shōgun achieves a balance by using a format that educates without boring the casual fans who may just want to watch the series for entertainment. It allows viewers to learn more about feudal Japan in a way that feels effortless, which is an impressive feat to accomplish. Chapter 4: Breaking the Conventional Norms of Storytelling of a White Savior Narrative. When it came to telling a narrative similar to Shōgun, many past Hollywood films had always made one single difference that defined the narrative to the audience. In movies like The Last Samurai, where Tom Cruise's character, after being nursed back to health at a Japanese village, saves that exact Japanese village from being destroyed, using the knowledge that he had learned from the West. The white savior narrative is clearly seen. However, John Blackthorne, even though he is a critical figure in the narrative, is not a character who comes to save Japan. Instead, the viewer witnesses a character who, instead of imposing his own values of the people he encounters, learns Japanese customs and languages over the course of the episodes, even if they are foreign to him. The viewer witnesses a character who in many ways is similar to them. A character experiencing feudal authentic Japanese culture for the first time, having to deal with the cards that are given. But in the end, he is not the hero of the narrative who comes to save Toranaga and his mission. He schemes, learns, and evolves over the course of the time he's in Japan. He learns to accept that the mindset he once had of being English and this almighty white superior complex is broken down, and he has to accept that his mentality of things might not always be right. This change of having a narrative where whites are no longer the superior within a foreign land highlights the gradual shift occurring even in an industry like Hollywood. No matter how slow they are, the change people are willing to make will define the legacy left behind for future narratives to come. Chapter 5: A Tale of Tragedy. In feudal Japan, death was common. An entire family lineage could be wiped out to hold peace and restore honor for their lords. However, as viewers, the investment we make towards the characters we follow are inevitable, wishing that everyone's story will end in a way that their lives are not taken away before the end. The tragedy of Lord Toranaga's plan always meant that a few sacrifices would be required before the inevitable victory he sought. A man who seems to be calculating every move that he makes, and sadly, this decision that he has made means that there will be significant toll on him, both physically and mentally. Although the reality of death has always been prevalent for the viewers to witness, the tragedies that follows the back end of the first season creates a powerful narrative that strikes the core of the heart for many. The back-to-back death of key figures within Toranaga's clan, from his son Nagakado, his oldest friend Hiromatsu, and the most powerful death of all, Lady Mariko. Each strikes hard for the viewers, knowing how impactful these characters have been in forming the narrative. With all the death that strikes the air of the narrative, one can only think about what Toranaga's feeling, knowing that for his calculated plan to work, he had to lose the things he cared for and look weak in the aftermath, only for him to rise from the ashes like a phoenix. However, the reality still stands. After looking more deeply into the narrative, one can only see tragedies across each episode. Chapter 6: The Ending. I have to admit, it has been pretty difficult for me to write about an ending filled with many ambiguities on the future of the narrative, as the final episode covers the last stretch of the book that is based on. With many hopes on how the season might conclude, one filled with a deadly war against the armies of the regions and Toranaga, instead, we're given an ending filled with character development. I'm not saying that this was the wrong move for the narrative, but the final episode of many series has always been filled with grandness unlike we have ever seen. Once again, reverting from the norms of usual Western finales, we're given an ending unlike none other. Everyone in the finale is given a choice to seek peace or wage conflict, no matter how petty the conflict may be. From the overall conflict that the series has been covering on Toranaga's war, to the smaller conflicts that's been brewing over the course of the season, such as Yabushige's allegiance, the Catholic manipulation of Japan, to Blackthorne's complicated relationship with Buntaro. These conflicts are all a matter of the past now, as a new era ruled by Toranaga begins. The brilliant tactical strategy that is dubbed Crimson Sky becomes the main catalyst to spark a change in all the characters. This change in demeanor becomes one that if the viewers have been carefully analyzing each episode, they will see that this is how the story would end, seeing how Lady Mariko's death can change the opinions of so many, from certain members of the regions, Lady Ochiba, and especially Blackthorne. Her death symbolizes the end of the era to a new one, and although the story that the series have been adapting from is now over, the real historical accounts becomes the linchpin in the stories of characters that have survived the tragedy that has struck them in the course of change. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that this new generation of cultural representation is just the beginning of a deeper crossover between culture and media. It opens the door to telling fresh, compelling stories based on culture that are rarely represented on screen. And I'm eagerly anticipating the results of the Emmy, because this show, with its commitment to authenticity and historical accuracy, truly deserves to win many of the awards for which it had been nominated for. It's fascinating to think about what lies ahead for the future of the series. What started as a miniseries meant to cover the events of the books has now expanded, delving beyond the original narrative and drawing inspiration from real historical events. This evolution promises even more engaging storytelling that honors the past while exploring new possibilities. This new chapter in my channel is still ongoing, tackling many series to come, so please make sure that you subscribe, be sure to leave a like, share this video, and click on the notification bell to stay up to date on upcoming content. And I will see you soon for another review episode.